What's up, everybody? Welcome to your second episode of Cash Considerations, our Full Tilt Dynasty best ball for now. It'll also be our DFS and potentially sports betting podcast. I'm here with my fellow low T drafter, fantasy football's most infamous pizza guy, Ron Stewart. Ron, how are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. I've been wanting to hop on here, chop it up with you for a while, sort of pick your brain on, 18th round Taysom Hill galaxy brain type moves here.
He rarely gets to the 18th round. There are sickos out there in this universe that take Taysom Hill. I think he went in the 12th yesterday.
I snagged him in the 18th. I got a little bit lucky, but I can't pass up on him.
Do you think he's actually going to play tight end? Do you think he's going to actually be their move tight end?
I'm sort of the way that I'm thinking through it is I'm hoping he plays quarterback at some point. And if he plays quarterback in the fantasy playoffs, then you're smashing. But
I've heard this. I would be more down with that if Dalton wasn't there. But you're telling me how does he play quarterback? Winston gets hurt, Dalton gets hurt, then Hill gets in? You're
poking a lot of holes in my dreams right now.
I feel like
I am thinking through it, and Sean Payton's not there to put his boy in. It gets a little bit rough. But I don't know.
Because I've been thinking about Hill, he's really athletic. I'm like, maybe he could be a tight end. I mean, who else there? Troutman, he's a blocker. Anyway, for anyone who's just tuning in, what we're going to do today is we're going to draft a lot of teams. Tom and I, when we were here last week, we sort of did a longer intro. We talked about tournament structure. We talked about strategy stuff. I'm sure we'll get into that as we go. But we have a lot of teams to draft today, and the puppy might close in 4 hours at the rate that people are drafting. So we're not going to waste too much more time here. Tom usually does, by the way, the screen share and all the fancy stuff on the screen. So I'm a little slow, but we're going to go ahead. We're going to hop in. And before we do that really quickly, we have a little bit of something special today that I'm trying out. I came up with something to make these drafts a little bit more spicy, and I have a little drinking game that I will hold myself to. Ron has the right to hold himself to it if he wishes, or he can just hold me to it. But basically, I've split this into three. We have some phrases that require a sip, and for sips, I'm drinking this fine Pacific Pilsner, of course. If anyone mentions, by the way, the only rule is that the co-host cannot just do this to me intentionally. That's just rude. But anyone mentions EV on ranges of outcomes, we get anyone says closing line value. Those are all sip. And if anyone uses the phrase asymmetrical upside, that of course is a shot or you have to finish your drink. The draft room, the people who hate us, the people who are out to get us, our competitors. If we were ever sniped by an auto drafter, which happens frequently, by the way, just frequently, and it's so tilting, that is the sip. If someone comes up ahead of us to take a quarterback that they don't have any members of that quarterback's offense, and we wanted that quarterback for our stack, they do that ahead of ADP. That happened to us twice, by the way, in my draft with Tom last week. That is a sip. If someone gets really mad about being sniped by just a guy that you wanted going 5 rounds after ADP, and they're not actually sniped at all, and they don't even know what snipe means, that is a sip. And of course, if someone in the chat happens to get into one of our drafts and they snipe us on a stack, that will be a shot or a finish. And finally, to own ourselves a little bit, every time that I draft the Jets, Lions, or Jaguars stack, that has to be one sip per player from those teams. Every time that we're able to complete a Week 17 game stack, we reward ourselves with a sip. And then I have some guy's name, but really it's just a brand player. So, brand both ways, either, the Tonys of the world, the Evan Ingrams of the world, the Wan'Dale Robinsons, basically anyone who's on the Giants or once played on the Giants. These are guys you got to sip for. And then, of course, if we actually do pull off a 0 running back draft, which is no running backs until at least round 7, it will be one sip for every round in which we do not draft a running back. And do you think that we can get to 18 today? Can we get to 18 rounds without a running back?
We can get very close. Yesterday, I got I've been really towing the line recently where I'll start 5 puppy drafts up at a time. Or I did it one time. I did it on accident. I went into too many at one time. And last night I auto drafted Isaiah McKenzie 40 picks past his ADP. Wow. And I ended up with a 2-4-10-2 build where my RB1 was AJ Dillon.
40 picks after his ADP. What's
before
his ADP?
like I think it's like 215. I might have picked him at like
Okay,
170.
I was like, how could he have an ADP that's drafted
No.
4 rounds after? Okay,
I reached that Isaiah McKenzie, and then also I think my running back room was 4 deep with AJ Dillon at the top, and I can't remember the rest. But
that's like kind of the crazy stuff I was doing a little bit last year. Then the Hayden Winks data really made me feel like that probably wasn't the move. But
yeah,
all right,
it was an accident.
We're gonna get into this here. We're gonna draft the puppy here. If anyone happens to be in the chat, wants to draft with us, I'm gonna hit enter in 3, 2, 1. So here we go. And is everything already filled? It looks like everything's already filled. Yeah,
everything is filling quick.
We were the last one in, and we were at the 111. That's a little bit gross.
Ooh.
I don't love the 111. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I've been talking about recently that everything after the 106 is just super ugly.
You like the 106? The 106 is my least favorite spot.
Well, I don't love the 106, but I like that top tier of like the 3 running backs and 3 wide receivers, and then after that, like the 107, I'm lost. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I guess Diggs, but
who's the third running back for you? Because I think it's 2 running backs.
I would say JT McCaffrey and Eckler, but like
Eckler, okay.
I would put Eckler like a tier behind them, but I would say that he's probably pretty firmly my 106.
Okay. So Eckler is the guy who I'm taking at the 106 because I'm okay with him in a way that I'm not with Derrick Henry. And if I don't take Eckler at the 106, then my exposure to Adams and Diggs will be egregious. So I did take Diggs at the 106 earlier because I got the 106 like 3 straight times. And I was just like, I can't just keep taking Eckler in all these drafts. I don't even really want to. But I agree. Eckler's there. Who are we hoping for at the 111? Are we hoping to get one of Adams or Diggs come to us?
Yeah, it's probably Adams, Diggs. I think Kelsey's probably. It's ugly, but it kind of does something that's been interesting around the area though. You mentioned Game 17 stacks, which are going to be an issue for me because I'll be taking part as well. I have the classic high noon out here, the black cherry for this afternoon.
Nice.
What was I talking about though? But Deebo Samuel or like Devontae Adams, Deebo Samuel, just to get that 49ers Raiders stack. I think I've been kind of almost putting myself in a pretzel. Like I'm almost trying to force a Game 17 stack in every draft.
Yeah,
I'm wrestling with myself on if that is. I think that is probably the move.
I think it's.
I was about to say a 2-letter acronym there, but
yeah, I was gonna. Let's just do it. It's very plus EV. It is. I think it's necessary. My record so far is I was able to get 17 out of my 18 players playing against each other or on the same team in week 17. I'm trying to get to 18. I have not yet. I'm putting myself at a minimum of 3. I need at least 3 game stacks. And I think, the goal is I'd have, 8 or 9. I think that it's, to me, I hear people say like, well, what if that's not the combination? I mean, we don't know. But to me, it's like we already don't know anything, right? We know so little. So why not take advantage of whatever? Are they gonna give us?
This would be very funny.
Are we gonna draft Derrick Henry?
I'm open to it. Wow. Let's go with the big dog.
Are we gonna go with the big dog? Really? Is that what we're doing?
I think here it makes sense.
Okay, so I will do the big dog if we can take CeeDee Lamb on the way back to get the Titans Cowboys.
Fine. I'm game for it. I do think that the 2 AP is really egregious right now, but I also don't mind it if it's correlated like that.
I think this will probably be my only Henry CeeDee Lamb combination. So I think we should do it for the correlation just because like the way I look at it, like, I mean, I'm just not going to draft Henry very often. If he has 80, I'll put it this way. If Henry's ADP was actually the 111, I still wouldn't draft him very often. I'm only drafting him at the 111 in this case because he's not usually there. And so I guess it's nice to have some exposure. I'm not interested in Henry. I don't like, I can't possibly comprehend the appeal of drafting a 28-year-old off of foot surgery who doesn't really catch a lot of passes, whose offense just lost its best player. It seems unimaginable to me, his ADP. But I don't know. I know he scored a lot of points last year, but he's like real old.
He caught passes last year, which is interesting.
A few.
A little bit early on.
A little bit, yeah.
It is just tough. I almost think it's insane to me that his ADP is like as high as it is. Like I don't, and maybe I'm assuming here, but I think a lot of people that sort of champion Henry are also the same. They're like, I can't draft Christian McCaffrey, he's injury prone, which is just like the most like backwards thinking. Is they all think like Derrick Henry's great, high floor, he's gonna do his thing. I mean, I can talk myself into a bull case where he's the only thing they have going on offense. He's gonna catch more passes because AJ Brown's gone, but I can't I struggle to see it at 6 overall.
Yeah, he's certainly not my 6 overall. But he is R11 overall in this draft. What do you think of CD? Because I struggle with CD because, I mean, being like a target share truther, it's tough to click CD Lamb in the early second round. And yet I've now done it, I think, in 2 consecutive weekends on these streams. I guess what I like about CD is everything that's not about CD. I love his quarterback. I love a lot of the ADPs on the Titans outside of Henry. I love a lot of ADPs on the Cowboys. I love Dak's ADP. I like Schultz's ADP. And what I love is that Lamb's ADP lends itself really nicely to Dak and Schultz right at the 7-8 turn because they're just a really convenient stack. So I think situationally it makes sense, and I get the upside. It's just, what percentage do you think chance that CD asserts himself as like a 25% plus target share player? Because if he does, then he's probably a smash at that ADP. It's just, is he that guy?
That's the tough part with CD for me. That is what you're hoping for. You hope that the target rate numbers on a per route basis, like, as you know, they point to that being in his range. You know what I mean? I have a tough time putting a number on it, but I would say like if his median probably 1, 2, 23%, 25 plus, I would say probably maybe in the 20% range, 15% range. But he's really interesting as just a guy who he only had 80% of the routes last year, which is like it's hard to wrestle with because it's like how is he not getting on the field over Gallup? Is it a talent issue? Is it a scheme? Like, do they seem like to really want to use him in the slot, which I'm not sure how I feel about that. But yeah, there's a lot in the air. I would like his ADP a little bit more if now he's ahead of Debo. I would probably prefer Debo. I'd probably prefer AJ Brown. Yeah, I'd prefer him if he was in that like to me, CD and T Higgins are very similar bets. I would put CD just ahead of Higgins, right in that area. That. I wish it was late to early third with CD, but we're just not at that point anymore.
Well, I'll say this for CD. So I would rather have T Higgins than CD in Dynasty. I just think that he's a better player. I think that his target share numbers back that up. In a best ball tournament format, I probably do prefer CD just because, in the event that he really takes a step forward, and that's possible. I mean, he's going to be 23, so I don't think it's definitely possible that he takes a big step forward this year. Mm-hmm. It's just he has more of an unlimited ceiling, right? Whereas Higgins with Chase there, I think, is probably more of a low-end wide receiver one. I think he has the higher floor, and he certainly has a really high ceiling week to week, which ultimately is what matters in best ball. But I think Higgins is drawn entirely dead to be the wide receiver one this year. I think that Lamb has that in his range of outcomes.
I think so too.
All right, who are we going to take now? We're at the 311. If they give us Barkley, that feels like a smash.
I like that one. I like Pitts too. After that, I'm not sure though.
After that, it's a little tough.
I hate to say that I don't hate Pittman at his ADP anymore. I don't.
That's tough, man. Pitts and Barkley right before us. Okay, so you mentioned Pittman. I'll start him. I probably prefer Deontay Johnson. Yeah, we're not taking these running backs. Pittman. Do you prefer Pittman over Deontay?
I'm honestly cool with either.
I'm fine with Pittman because I'm probably not going to take a lot of him. So if you're okay with him, then this is a chance to get him on stream. So that's fun. I think Deontay's interesting here. And
I like Deontay. Do you like Metcalf?
I do, but I like him not as much as I like Deontay. And I'm getting Metcalf Deontay pretty often. The only other guy I was going to bring up is what about Killer Waller just structurally? I tend to like the tight end around 4, but I'm okay with Deontay over those guys for sure if you prefer that.
We have 1 running back and 2 wide receivers through 3. I'm open to a little detour at tight end.
Who do you prefer? We have 6 seconds here. Deontay
let's go with Waller.
Okay.
I'm down for Waller.
Wow, we got it with 1 second left. That was we were really using the clock. Little buzzer beater, absolutely. We were like the Miami Heat last night, just with 1 second left of the shot clock, couldn't miss.
Dude, I was gonna ask you about how you were feeling after last night.
It's interesting, man. Like different vibe than other Celtics like losses even this playoffs, where I thought they played okay. Like they didn't play perfect by any means. After game 3, I was distraught. Like I was like, we played like shit. They turned the ball over a zillion times. They weren't running offense. I still think that the issue that they have is that they're not running offense early enough. They're spending too much time trying to get favorable switches with Tatum, and it's not letting them actually get into any action. But I don't think anyone's here for my basketball diagnosis. The thing is, like, what's tilting to me for sure is that like the Heat just made every difficult shot with like 1 second left in the shot clock. Like,
Jimmy dropped 50 last night. That's a game. It's tough.
Like Jimmy hit a zillion of those. Like just
that tough mid range, like the clock winding down, and he hits just like the toughest shot of all time, like foot on the 3-point line, just like an ugly 2.
God, they had 2 side out of bounds plays in the fourth that were insane. The Jimmy one with 2 seconds left on the shot clock, and the Strus 3 with 1 second left on the shot clock, side out of bounds, and he just like
that was after what, like 12 missed shots or something.
Like, what are you doing? Like, yeah, it was.
He was laughing afterward.
Yeah, because it was ridiculous. So
it was absurd. I had the series minus, so I opened the 2 wins, so that one went out the door. But it's whatever.
I'm just like indiscriminately starring a bunch of wide receivers here, and then we could figure out.
How do you feel about McLaurin at that price? I've been loving him at this like sort of like 4-5 turn area.
Yeah, I'm pretty down with both of the guys that like I think are really good that are just in bad situations. Like McLaurin Metcalf at the 4-5 turn seems really appealing to me.
Yeah, especially McLaurin feels like a similar bet to last year.
Yeah,
and I would say he's like a better, like almost a better quarterback.
Yeah, and he was going in early round 3 last year, and I get that he didn't pay off that price. But like, I don't think that he showed anything in particular of like why he shouldn't have. Like, he was still putting up really good peripherals. So I think McLaurin is really nice there for sure. Like, I mean, say what you want about Wentz, but I think he's better than Taylor Heineke, that's for sure. And Pittman just came off a season with Wentz and decided to earn a round 3 ADP. Who do we have? What are our teams, by the way? We have now. So we could use a 49er. We could use a Giant. I mean, I'm not concerned about us getting a Giant. There are options late. And then we already have Tennessee and Dallas. So we're in a good spot there.
I'm going to get the 17 schedule on my other monitor. Might as well put it
Imagine not having it memorized. Imagine not having the week 17 schedule.
I know a good chunk.
Not be me.
I want to see. I've been trying to find like a betting market that already has like over under set for it, but I can't find it.
That's true degeneracy. Let's talk through that because we didn't talk about that a ton last weekend. So, you know what? Let's talk through that after this next pick because if we start on a tangent, we're gonna get buzzer beater again, and I prefer not. Let's think quarterback wise. So, like Dak at the 7-8 turn seems like a pretty obvious target if that gets to us. Obviously, Carr is an option potentially. If we are able to get Ayuk later, that makes Lance or Carr an option. Is that where you're thinking quarterback-wise? I don't know. Like, we could go late Matt Ryan, of course. And then is there other stacks that you're thinking of setting up potentially?
I was going to say, I know you were talking about Dak and Schultz at the turn. Something I've been sort of wrestling with is, like, when you have, like, let's say we already have Waller and we get, like, Schultz at that 8 turn, like a fine value, like maybe like 6 picks passes ADP. Like, would you consider that to complete the stack, or is that sort of overkill your tight end spot? Because I sort of am almost like, I don't want to start a tight end in flex, but sometimes it does sort of set up where it's a little bit tough to pass on.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it if it's correlated. Like, so I think if I was taking Kelsey or Andrews, just because of the opportunity cost being 1-2 turn, I think I could not stomach going another mid-range tight end with one of them. But I think with Waller, like, I don't know, it's a round 4 investment. Like, it's a high investment, but I don't think that's an investment level where it's like you can't invest any more at tight end. To me, what that means, like, if you take Waller and you take Schultz, it means that you you already get some level of benefit from just not having to take a third tight end, right?
Yeah.
Like, so to me, it's like, I think Waller Schultz is fine if it's correlated. I probably wouldn't take Schultz in. I probably wouldn't pair Schultz with Waller if I wasn't also taking Dak. I guess I'd put it that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. What do you feel about Juju? Because I know you haven't liked Juju in the past, and I don't love Juju either, but I do like how he sets you up for that Denver 7 stack be easily.
Yeah, I need to force myself to take more of that game because it's probably the best game on the schedule, and I just hate like everyone's ADPs on both.
And you can backdoor it pretty easily. You could go like McCole, like Melvin Gordon, Ronald Jones. You got a lot, or even like if you want to get ugly, like Greg Dulcich. Okay, so Juju goes.
Please don't say McCole around me. Okay, who do we like? Who do we like here? Like obviously, I mean, Kyler's ADP by the way is absurd, but we don't have any Cardinals, so we're probably not taking that.
Yeah.
Bateman certainly is an option. Again, I'm not loving these guys. These are not my guys.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should. If we're gonna go with the big dog, we're gonna hero him up. I like. I don't know. I mean, I've been trying to steer away from like Elijah Moore, Drake London. I'd be open to Bateman, Mooney.
Okay. Tell me why you're trying to steer away from Elijah Moore, because I'm steering directly into Elijah Moore as much as possible.
I think he might be my most owned wide receiver, and I do, as a Jets fan, I feel like I'm being a homer when I keep taking him.
I think it's homer. Okay, I guess I should recognize, because like I'm pretty on record with pro Michael Thomas stances. I want to be overweight on Michael Thomas at the end of the summer. I just don't see like a good reason to take him right now while he's not practicing. I think it's more likely his ADP goes down than up. I don't know if you agree with that.
I agree. I think
to me it's Elijah here, but
yeah, let's go Elijah. I will say
Elijah?
Yeah, let's go Elijah. What was gonna say, which I wish I sort of had the idea, but we probably could have gone like Kyler Murray, Drake London, and gone sort of like a game 17 stack there. Maybe like some late Cardinals. Like, how do you feel about doing something like that, where you sort of take like a naked quarterback, stack the other side of the game, and then just hope for? I guess you could hope for what like a Keontae Ingram, AJ Green, maybe. I'm trying to think. Rondale. That's
my problem with it. And Kyler's been the guy that I keep thinking about doing it with, because I think his ADP is egregious. Like, I don't see why he's not drafted in the same range.
Yeah, he should be right next to Lamar and Mahomes. It doesn't make a ton of sense.
Yeah. It's just so I've been like, okay, well, how can I take more Kyler when I don't have Marquise Brown already? And the Hopkins suspension really makes it difficult for me, because like at this time of the year, I would just really rather open myself up to guys who I think have opportunities to rise because of a certain three-word phrase that I'm not going to say. And Hopkins, I just feel like won't, because like he's suspended for the first 6 weeks. That being said, like I do think Hopkins is kind of a value, because taking a guy who's suspended, like ultimately most of this money is awarded in week 17. He's not suspended for week 17. In fact, he can't get injured until week 7. So that's lovely for him. Mm-hmm. I guess my other issue is I just don't like the ADPs of the tertiary Cardinals like at all. Like I just think Rondale's ADP is disgusting in half PPR. Like I don't want to go anywhere near it. And then I think Ertz's ADP is just like, it's fine. I'm not against it. It just usually doesn't fit my teams, because I'm usually drafting an early tight end. And I'm like, man, do I really want to draft Zach Ertz? Like I just usually like other guys. And I feel like then I'm also like, what happens if I just don't get Zach Ertz? Like, I guess I'm more likely to do it if I'm in the middle of a round. It's hard for me when I'm on the turn, because I feel like it's hard to rely on getting a guy like Ertz later on the turn. And you mentioned AJ Green. Like, no, I just don't want to draft AJ fucking Green. Like, I don't want to do that. I think it's gross. Like, I don't know. But I do see the appeal for sure. I think it's like I've done it with Hurts before, where I'll take I'll take Hurts and then just say like, okay, I'm going to get Smith or Goddard later. I think you could do it with Kyler. What do you think of these Cardinals?
Bring back a little Olave?
What do you think of these Cardinals? Because I think it's weird that Kyler's ADP is, to me, so undervalued, but I don't feel like his weapons are that undervalued.
Yeah, it does seem like almost like a not a 1-for-1, but almost like a reverse Jared Goff, where it's like, how come all these players are sort of getting, like none of them are sort of highly valued. I've always sort of struggled with that, because I know that some people have like a strong stance on like quarterback production comes from his weapons, or some people. I want to say that might be like a Peter Howard versus Jacob Rickroad kind of feud that I can't really put my finger on. Yeah, I don't have a strong take on it, but what's Peter's side?
Peter's team wide receivers and
Okay.
Jacob's team quarterbacks usually.
Do you think it matters if we're talking about a quarterback with rushing upside because he can kind of make some of it on his own?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like Jalen Hurts can smash, and that doesn't necessarily mean the other guy smash. Like Derek Carr is a guy who's a classic example of like if you think Waller is the top 4 tight end and worthy of a round 4 pick, and you think Adams is a first rounder, then like you need to just be high on Derek Carr. You need to accept that, right?
Yeah.
And Jared Goff is kind of the same thing, where like if you want to draft Amon-Ra St. Brown and you want to draft Hawkinson and you want to like, you either have to say the whole offense is going to fail to meet expectations. You have to tell me which one of them is going to fail to meet expectations, or you have to draft Jared Goff. Like that's kind of the
yeah.
Man, this is. If Hopkins is actually there at 83, you're going to make me regret not doing the Kyler London situation. Dak is still here for us there. So
okay.
I feel like Dak is like kind of an obvious pick. The question is, do we chance it? Because JD Brooks would be out of his mind to take Dak Prescott if there's someone else that we want first. So who's our team right now? So is there anyone else that like sticks out as an obvious? Like we could do the Schultz thing. I'm not super tied to it. I'm not super against it. This wide receiver range is like kind of nasty to me.
I don't mind Moore, Olave, and Wilson, but I feel like they'll probably be there at the next pick.
Yeah, and I don't
we also have a setup for Las Vegas stack with Renfro, but I'm down.
No. I'm taking 0% Renfro. There's no circumstances, so I'm taking Renfro.
I guess we go Dak and then probably a wide receiver, or if Schultz gets to us, that's interesting.
Well, let's just let the clock run out on Dak. We'll get him, and then decide on this next pick because I think Schultz will be there. This guy already has a tight end. Do we or not?
Oh, well,
he does not. He doesn't give a shit. He's like I have.
He might have taken Dak if we let him. He might have went Dak Schultz.
Good thing. Okay, so options. I mean, we could certainly take. I actually kind of like Miles Sanders. I know that's gross, but
yeah.
I'm very open to Miles Sanders. I think I can't, man. Sky Moore's ADP is absurd. Lockett with Elijah Moore, I'm pretty into. I like Garrett, but I mean, I don't need to take him ahead of ADP. I have so much.
Let's go Lockett.
Okay.
I'm down. I don't mind like a Miles Sanders pick there, but I also do feel like in a hero RB build, we kind of want to get our advantage a little bit more at wide receiver here with detours at quarterback and tight end.
No, this is a nice.
Doesn't feel great, but I mean, Lockett will have some nice spike weeks, hopefully.
Doesn't feel great. I love Tyler Lockett. I think Tyler Lockett always feels great. I think he's good, and I don't think that Seattle's actually going to go into the season with Geno or Drew Lock. And if they do, like I think Lockett's going to be fine. I guess
I don't think Lockett's that terrible.
Here's me being on the Peter Howard side of this debate, right? Like Rick Road, for instance, is like all in on Judy and Sutton, very out on Metcalf especially. I think he's a little less out on Lockett. But I guess here's my case for Lockett. Lockett's going to be one of my most drafted wide receivers. Case part number 1, he's extremely good. Like guy absolutely puts up target shares every single year. Now I understand that like Metcalf is there, so it doesn't feel like he's as alone. But Lockett's like rate stats are not that different than Brandon Cooks's, for instance, right? Brandon Cooks is going to be in a pretty bad quarterback situation, but he's going to be able to get volume. I think Lockett's not going to have a problem getting volume. I think it's going to be him. Metcalf, Fant will get some, but I think Fant's honestly like a little bit overrated. The market says that Fant sucks. Like the market says that he is a round 14 player. And I don't know, like I get that they're going to want to be run heavy. How run heavy can they be? Their defense is ass. So like, I just think Lockett's going to be fun. And I think that they could also still get Baker. They could get Jimmy, which aren't good, but they're better than the options available to them. I still think it's possible Lockett gets traded in season. I just think he's like a good player that I think things can only get better for him situationally. Either he gets traded, they add a new quarterback, they pass a little more than you think. Like I just think he's being priced as if the situation is as bad as humanly possible, which it is. But to me, it's like things can only get better. And if things don't, like whatever, I think he can still pay off around 8 ADP. Like, is he that different than Metcalf, who's going at around 4 ADP? Like their stats over the last couple of years have been identical.
No, he's not much different. What I've been kind of trying to figure out with them is it gets tough when like you can kind of talk yourself into with Elijah Moore getting an efficiency spike if Zach Wilson takes a step forward. Something that I haven't looked at or that I haven't really dove into is like with somebody like a Lockett or Metcalf, can they hit a good efficiency season without the quarterback play? Like, can they just do it? I know Metcalf probably could just off of like speed and big plays and like a sort of some touchdown rate stuff, but it is a little bit tougher, I guess, to talk yourself into that scenario.
I mean, didn't they have their quarterback play was essentially awful for most of last year.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, Russell Wilson was really good the first month. Then he gets hurt. Then it's Geno time. And then Russ comes back and he's bad. Like, Lockett posted 11 yards per target last year with bad quarterback play for the majority of the season. I wouldn't project him for 11 yards per target, but I do think like he's capable of efficiency. Like, I mean, he does a lot of the same deep threat stuff they do. Okay. Is there like, I haven't been doing a ton of double stacking with these two this year, but
with Wilson and Moore,
my God, if he falls at the 107, I mean, geez, that's such a smash. Okay, he's gone. What are we
somewhat interesting
here?
That far? We don't really have any. We don't have anything set up with Stafford, but
yeah, we do have the car option available to us. Although no,
we did already take.
We can always get TDP. Tony. We could go Tony with Pittman.
Tony makes sense.
I mean, I don't think it needs to make sense for us to want to take him. I think we would be willing to take him, whether it makes sense or not.
Yeah. I've also loved in this spot. We don't need to, like, this isn't something for us because we already have Dak, but I've been loving going Watson and Rodgers at this turn. But yeah, I'm down for Tony.
All right. That's oh yeah.
But yeah, I don't love Christian Watson, but it's like if I don't have a quarterback, I'm like, oh, I need to sort of figure something out here.
Yeah, I've done the same.
Like my last ditch effort.
Options. Like, I think we can go with Matt Ryan still. We can go with Zach Wilson still. We can go with Daniel Jones
I think we can go a running back or wide receiver here.
Okay.
I hate them all.
This is not a fun part of the
I don't hate Penny or Gordon, I guess. I mean, Gallup makes sense for our Dak.
I don't want to do Gallup. I don't think he's playing.
Okay, fine.
Okay, who you like? Gordon. I'll do Gordon over Penny.
Okay, fine.
I would take Chase Edmonds for what it's worth, but you didn't mention him as liking him, so I'm okay with that.
I've been kind of liking Sony and Raheem Mostert a little late there.
So I like Sony late. I'm not interested in Mostert. I think here's my issue with Mostert. Like,
we have a sip that we owe as well.
Oh yeah, young Joka baby. I need to get Tom to make like a ship chasing style clip for young Joka and like get his
I listened to a little bit of his like, I don't know if I'd call it a mixtape or whatever on Spotify, but it's not awful.
No, I listen to it frequently whenever I'm doing best ball drafts and I'm just trying to get myself in the mood. You
can get into his mindset.
Yeah. Well, oh yeah. Okay, we got Brock says you mean when Zach Wilson takes the board? Absolutely when. So I physically cannot stop myself from stacking the New York Jets. I have,
as a Jets fan, this is music to my ears, brother.
I currently have 63% Garrett Wilson.
Oh my Lord.
I think Garrett Wilson is the most mispriced player, like by a mile.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I've been trying to figure it out, but like the dynasty community has him in the same tier as London and Burks, and they didn't go to they didn't go to crazy good situations, and he's like priced like a full like round and a half after them, or like 2 rounds.
Yeah, like it makes so coming into the draft, right? Garrett Wilson was the odds-on market favorite to be wide receiver 1. The majority of like draft sites said that he was the best wide receiver in the draft. He gets drafted in the top 10, so he gets drafted as the second wide receiver off the board. Clearly a phenomenal prospect. I think probably the prospect that the most people agree on. Like, I don't know if almost anyone's serious. It's like, no, Garrett Wilson's not a good prospect. Film analytics, whatever. And then
I don't think Ian likes him.
Ian who?
Dynasty IM.
Oh, yeah, he's a little lower on him, but I don't think he like hates him or anything. I'll have to talk to Ian specifically about him. But like I don't think anyone's like out on him. Maybe people, it's more like, oh, he's my wide receiver 3.
He doesn't love him at price, 4. And he thinks, I mean, you see some places he gets ranked ahead of Elijah Moore in Dynasty. I think that's a bigger gripe for him.
He is for me.
You have Wilson ahead of Elijah Moore?
Yeah,
I have him like back
Wilson's
to back.
A stud. I think Elijah Moore is a stud too. But anyway, in terms of this best ball specifically, like to me, like Okay, if you want to say all the rookie wide receivers are overpriced, I'm actually like a little bit willing to hear arguments about that, just based on the fact that they're going higher than they usually go. But to me, like they were just mispriced before, based on the ceiling that they provide. And then within the rookies, it's like, okay, I think most people agree that Wilson was either the best or the second best, maybe the third best wide receiver in the class. Okay, look at the top 5. Like London, to me, is drafted. Essentially, they went in the same spot in the draft. Similar situation where there's one other young guy they're competing with. Nobody else really that of note. Like the Jets have Zach Wilson, who could plausibly have like an upper tail that Marcus Mariota certainly does not have. Right? I would rather have Wilson this year than London, to be honest, straight up. And then Burks, like I get the idea of the target, but like Woods is there. I think Woods can be projected for a fairly similar target share to Pitts or to Elijah Moore. Maybe not as much upside, but just like base projection. And they're not going to throw the ball as much. Sky Moore, I mean, I love Sky Moore dearly, but we
got crazy prices on him on the big board.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I was drafting the shit out of Sky Moore on the big board, but like now, like he should not be drafted ahead of Garrett Wilson. I think that's silliness. He was a late round 2 pick. He's not being drafted ahead of him in Dynasty ever. And then Olave, I mean, like Olave is in a slow pace, run heavy offense next to Landry and Michael Thomas. Like I think that's a clearly worse situation. I think he's a worse prospect. Garrett Wilson's price does not make sense. I think he's 2 rounds mispriced. I will continue drafting the shit out of him until either the market corrects or until they decide that they won't, and then I will just have to pivot away. But point is, I'm drafting a lot of them. We're about to come on the clock. I mean, I feel like
I'm very much on Rojo this year.
Quarterback wise, like I'm just gonna put, so we could do Wilson, we could do Ryan, we could do Daniel Jones. I feel like we're going late round with one of those 3, right? I mean, Rojo is just a smash.
Give us a little Melvin Gordon game 17 stack as well.
Oh yeah. Are we doing it? Are we going Ronald
Jones?
Jones?
Rojo.
For the record, Ronald Jones, in terms of brand players, that's got to be a drink right there. We're drinking for Rojo for sure. Okay. So 1-3-6-1. I kind of like any position here.
What else we got?
So I mean, Jacoby's always an option to me. I don't mind Jahan that much. I don't mind David Bell.
Let's go. Oh man, it's a little bit ugly here.
Tunyon,
I'm down for let's go Myers. I think that's fine. It's not beautiful, but it's.
I mean, I just can't stop drafting Jakobi Myers. This is the first.
You're a big fan of him in this spot.
I mean, I just think he's so mispriced. Like, I get that he probably isn't the archetype that we love in best ball, but him and Landry, man, like, I'm just looking at these guys. It's like these guys just get targets. Like, to me, it depends on the team a little bit. Like, I'm willing to hear arguments that on a team like this, where we're really strong at wide receiver, maybe Jakobi Myers isn't the greatest, use of a roster spot because he's not going to spike that often. But I don't know, like, are we that sure of how touchdowns get distributed? I mean, he's been a 24% target share player essentially the last couple of years. And all they added was Devontae Parker, who isn't good and is old and is constantly hurt. And Mac Jones potentially could take a step forward.
How many touchdowns do you think Mac Jones could throw? Like, what would you put like his ceiling at in terms of like what his like passing line kind of looks like?
I don't know. I think it depends on what they want to do with the offense. And I don't think that they know because they don't even have a coordinator.
A little bit of a volume thing.
Like, I mean, we're talking about the upper tail on a Zach Wilson, or we haven't on Fields or Lawrence, but I'm sure that we're acknowledging that. Like, just because Mac Jones was better last year, I don't think that means that he can't get better, right? Like, he was actually good as a rookie. Why? I think it's at least in the range of outcomes that Mac Jones like steps up the passing volume a little bit, and we know that he's like a pretty serviceable quarterback. And even if he doesn't, like, I don't know, isn't Jakobi Myers just going to get 120 targets? Like, that seems like a really nice round 12 pick. Like, compared to these other guys, like, I don't know anyone else that has like that level of base.
I know Siegel loves him some Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah, I don't. So like, I think Sean Siegel is brilliant, but he really loves the yards per target on occasion, and I'm not really sure I get it. On like the boards, like he's been on Hardman in the past too. I'm not loving the Kendrick Bourne of it, just because I don't know what's the, like, he's gonna have spike weeks, I guess. Is that the hope?
I guess he'll have spike weeks, but yeah, I agree with you. He is he is almost like a Matt Waldman in a way where I respect his opinion. But he does just not care at all about consensus, which is what you love. But then you also have to kind of come with it. You have to sort of come at his analysis with kind of a level head, if that makes sense.
No, it makes
but
a
he's
lot
great.
of sense. Yeah, I'm just like filing people in the queue. Don't pay too much attention to it. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. Okay, I'm trying to think this next pick here. So we're 1-3-7-1. What do we think our ideal build is here on this? Is this 2-6-8-2?
This is probably 2-6-8-2 or 2-5-9-2.
I feel like I'm looking at these wide receivers. Lamb, Pittman, Bateman, Elijah, Lockett, Tony Myers. I don't think we need 9.
Yeah? Okay.
I don't think we need 9.
Okay, we can go 2-6-8-2.
I can hear arguments for a third quarterback or third tight end.
I personally think with like Dak and Waller, I wouldn't. I like kind of going 2 there.
I prefer that probably. I think we're in a spot like, is this team so?
I
good
love that our running backs are correlated, man. Melvin Gordon and Ronald Jones.
Is this team so good that we go 2-5-8-2 and then we just forfeit our round 18 pick? We decided it would be unfair for this team to even have a round 18
shoot it
pick.
off into the sun.
We
just grab a kicker.
Let's look at our. Yeah, we need the kicker.
I'll put my name in the player pool. We'll draft Ron Stewart round 18.
Okay, so what do we think here? So I have all these quarterbacks that we could do for our second quarterback. Zach Wilson, Matt Ryan, Daniel Jones, Mac Jones. I think if we want Zach Wilson or Matt Ryan, it's got to be this turn. We could try and wait it out. I'm not sure that we need to. We will need a second tight end
gets to us at 155.
Point. No, yeah.
Damn.
As soon as you said that, it was over. You jinxed it. I'm looking at other spots. Like, do we have any pieces right now that can get correlated that aren't? We already have Giants and Colts. We already have Jets and Seahawks. We could use a Pittsburgh guy. We could use Pickens.
We could go Pickens. That would be our last wide receiver.
I'm okay with that.
I'm down for it too.
Okay, so let's do Pickens. That correlates with our Bateman.
So then you could take wide receiver. We got to just look quarterback, running backs, tight ends now.
All right. This hurts me to not look at wide receivers. All right, so I think Zach Wilson certainly seems like a pretty solid pick here. I prefer Wilson over Matt Ryan. Like, I just think Matt Ryan's like so boring.
Okay. I think we could do that here.
Okay, let's do Zach Wilson. I feel like you bring a Jets fan on. I shouldn't be the one that I asked to talk you into a Zach Wilson, Elijah Moore stack.
Do we drink again after another Jets pick?
Oh yeah, right. So it's anytime we complete the stack.
I forgot
so
what the teams were that we had.
Yeah, it's the 3 teams that I can't stop stacking, which all suck, which is the Jets, Lions, and the Jags.
I find myself wrestling with Zach Wilson and stuff because it's like I always try and be like super super tough on the Jets because like I just never want to fall. I never want to be one of those guys. I can't like. All the respect to Chess Liam, but he got Gabriel Davis on the Best Mania 3 because he's just like or Best Mania 2. He's a massive Bills fan, so he was like super overexposed to Josh Allen and all them. As a Jets fan, we don't have a Buffalo Bills offense. I don't want to be caught with like 40% Jets exposure in best ball.
Brock is not. The funny thing
Brock's also a Colts fan. He's a guy. He frequents on my channel.
Oh, that's awesome, Brock. So you probably don't know this from the way that I've just slandered Matt Ryan. I'm a massive Colts fan. It's very funny that we had this situation where it's like, oh, are we gonna take the Colts quarterback or the Jets quarterback? And I'm the one being like, no, we got to take the Jets quarterback. And Ron's like, no, we should take the Colts quarterback. I guess here's my issue with Matt Ryan. I think the circumstances where I would take Matt Ryan are usually going to be in 3 quarterback builds where I'm just looking for, guys that have like a little bit of safety, and I'm hoping for like a couple week-to-week spikes when they get touchdowns. I just think that the Colts are going to be pretty run heavy, and I'm pretty optimistic for Matt Ryan from a real football perspective. But I think that like 2020 Phillip Rivers is probably like a pretty good encapsulation of what I expect from Matt Ryan. And he had moments for fantasy, but I still think they're going to want to run through Jonathan Taylor. I think that they'll certainly pass more than they did at the end of last year when they just weren't able to run offense because Carson Wentz was such a disaster. But I don't know that he's going to be a guy I just think about it in terms of week 17, right? It's like if Dak doesn't have a good week that week, I need 30 points from another quarterback. Is Matt Ryan getting me 30 points? Like, I don't see how Matt Ryan's getting me 30 points. I see him as like a guy who can get me through some weeks. I think with Zach Wilson, look, he could be a stone disaster. But I just think if we're looking at guys in that range of like who is going to be the guy where it's like it's week 6 and we're like, oh my God, this guy's scoring a ton of points every week. To me, it has to be Zach Wilson or Daniel Jones. Like those are the guys.
When you said complete disaster, you gave me butt fumble flashbacks.
Yeah, I'm with you, Brock. I love Matty Ice, and I'll draft him a little bit. But like, I think my other issue with Zach Wilson is I just think that the whole Jets offense is mispriced. Like, I think that the Jets offense is priced as though Zach Wilson is like Marcus Mariota, where it's like he's a quarterback that we know
he has an
is
out
bad.
to be much better than that.
Right. And I think it's entirely possible that Zach Wilson is trash. But I think that it's an offense, or like he's Jared Goff, right? Like, I think it's priced as though he's just a bad quarterback. And to me, it's like he's a probably bad quarterback, but it's also possible that he's a good quarterback. Or at the very least, a fantasy-friendly quarterback, right? And to me, it's like, man, like, what if he is kind of good? And then the other thing I like to think of, too, is like, how do these players get good? And to me, it's a correlated ceiling bet, where one of the ways that Zach Wilson is better than we expect is if either Elijah Moore or Garrett Wilson is just a total superstar. And they drag Zach Wilson, further. So then it's like, okay, we need one of those two things to happen. Either Zach Wilson is better than we expect, and so it helps the wide receivers, or one of the wide receivers is a superstar and it drags Zach Wilson up. Or if it's both, then you get this, it's like, oh my God, Zach Wilson's really good, and these two wide receivers are really good. Like, what if Zach Wilson is a round 8 pick next year and Elijah and Garrett Wilson are going in the 3rd? Like, that's like possible to me. And so
I hope so, man.
I can't stop drafting these Jets. Yeah, Brock is very correct, especially on the ladder. Matty Ice does not run. I think here's a circumstance where I would take Matt Ryan. Is I think if you take Matt Ryan, I think Maheem Hines should be on like every Matt Ryan team, because the way that they throw more is Jonathan Taylor gets hurt.
Damn, Herbert went. What are we thinking?
Our boy. So we're not taking these quarterbacks anymore. We can get rid of them.
Don't hate Ingram. What running backs are even available at this point?
So we could take Gerald Everett. We could take Evan Ingram. Neither are correlated. Running backs is a little nasty. I kind of like JE.
I think we could wait. I say we go Ingram and then go running back with our next pick.
Okay. You like Ingram over Everett? I do too.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. We didn't even check his bye week, bro. That's fine.
I don't care.
I don't give a shit. Okay, so
I'll draft everybody on the same bye week.
So I think we're probably taking 3 running backs now at this point, because this next running back's going to be ass. Depends what we want here. We got.
I'm cool. What do you think? I like McKissick. I like Mack.
I don't like Mack. I like McKissick, and then I'm okay with Darryl. I think we're taking straight handcuffs for the last 2, so I'm okay with McKissick here.
Let's go McKissick. I think that he'll give us some good RB2 weeks.
Yeah, and then let's just get a.
What's wrong with Marlon Mack? We also need to drink for Ingram, sadly.
Oh yeah.
If you give me a screenshot of the rules, I can kind of keep track, but I'm just kind of remembering.
I will. I think we could do okay. We're doing all right. So who do we? Marlon Mack. I don't know. I just like. Is Marlon Mack like? To me, he's an early down only rusher off a torn Achilles on an awful team. Like, I don't know. It's like,
why do you got to say it like that? The payoff. I'm trying to think of kind of like a comparison of like last year, but I don't know, man. I mean, he showed that he was pretty good. That's the payoff. Yeah, it is pretty similar to something like that. I don't know. I feel like he was pretty good on the Colts. We're 2 years off of the Achilles. I'm not scared of Rex Burkhead. I'm not scared of Dameon Pierce. I don't know. I think it's super. I don't know. I get the idea that it's not in a good offense, but
you know what it is? Marlon Mack is the Tevin Coleman of last year. On the Jets.
I don't know if he's quite that dusty. I don't know if he's that dusty yet.
You had Michael Carter as the round 4 guy, right?
Yeah, but that's true.
You have Ty Johnson as the potential pass down guy, like Burkhead is.
Burkhead's kind of interesting.
And then Mack is the Tevin Coleman. And I get that Mack might not be as dusty as Tevin Coleman. he also might be as dusty as Tevin Coleman. Like he's a not young running back off an Achilles injury. I don't know.
Does he really catch like 0 passes?
Like 0. Like even when he was good. Like I'm gonna look up the Marlon Mack stats.
He was good for a second.
Do you know who was taking all of his pass down work at USF? I will finish my drink if you can name who the primary pass catching running back was on Marlon Mack's University of South Florida
USF team. I have one guess. My first guess is J.D. McKissick.
No, that's not true. He played at Arkansas State, and he was a wide receiver in college.
One more guess.
People never say this, but J.D. McKissick, also a wide receiver in college, not just.
I've heard that with like him and Gibson both played wide receiver. Yeah. That's why I thought, because like I knew he caught a lot of balls and stuff. But USF, I really. No.
The answer, by the way, is Dearness Johnson.
Really? Wow.
Dearness Johnson. Yeah.
I knew it was gonna be something super obscure. I didn't know that he even went to USF.
Brock says hurts me as an LU alum, as IU alum and a former Colts running back are both washed, but it's true. Yeah, Tevin Coleman. I forgot he went to Indiana. Yeah. Look, I mean, it's around 17 running back. I'm not going to hate on Marlon Mack, but talk me into not taking Dameon Pierce in round 11 and in rookie drafts, because I know that all the cool kids think that Dameon Pierce is the softest pick on planet Earth. And I'm just kind of like nodding along and quietly drafting a little bit of Dameon Pierce. Not a lot of Dameon Pierce, but a little bit of Dameon Pierce. Tell me why I'm a total idiot.
The issue for me with Dameon Pierce is I would completely buy into, look, Florida uses their running backs in a weird way. He looked amazing on tape. The issue is when you look at the Lance Zierlein grades for him, he didn't grade out like spectacularly. He had like a worse grade than I think Abram Smith. Like it wasn't.
Do we care about PFF grades at all? Do we like PFF grades?
I haven't checked PFF, but then I also checked yards created. I know that Graham.
Do you know where he ranked in PFF grades?
I don't know.
I only need one finger.
He ranked first in rush grade.
He's first
for college.
Class. Yeah.
I suppose that's nice. I guess just the metrics I look at. I looked at yards created. I know that Graham Barfield pumped him up a ton, but
yeah,
he's like a 40th percentile yards created per attempt. Like it's nothing. It's just tough for me. None of it jumps off the paper. I guess like you can point at PFF, but like the grades, the film grades I look at didn't say that he was anything too crazy. That's really just the biggest struggle I have with him. So yeah. I have him at the back end of the second. If he flashed anywhere, if he just gave me like a 6.3 in Lance Zierlein, I'd be in. Okay, fine. But it's a little bit tough.
It's not a film thing, obviously, but do you look at any like of Noah Hills's like box adjustment, like all those efficiency scores and everything?
Yeah, I check it out and it's interesting. I think I know you've talked about it as kind of like a descriptive thing, and it's definitely interesting to look at, and something I probably defer to a little bit more with like the UDFA guys and like Zaquandre White and Abram Smith and those type of guys, because like you can kind of just throw profiles out the window once it gets to that point. But yeah, it's something I look at and it's interesting. I know that he's been really high on Dameon Pierce, so I can see it. Really?
Yeah. Yeah, he has him ahead of both Cook and Rashad White, actually.
I know that he doesn't really care a ton about market and stuff, but he like a Matt Waldman, where like that's interesting. I'm not taking him RB3 in my drafts, but
no, I'm not either.
Yeah, exactly.
He's my RB5, which is like kind of where most people.
That's fair. He's in that same tier for me. I have him in the same tier of what that would be like. You'd definitely firmly have Cook and White ahead, and then you'd have him in the mix with like Spiller.
Oh my god!
Damn, I would have loved Sony there.
Fuck. All right. Okay.
I like Kenyon Drake more than Zamir White. I also don't hate Dearness.
Here's my case for Zamir White. My case for Zamir White is we have Darren Waller. We want them to pass. If Josh Jacobs gets hurt, they'll pass more. And then Zamir White is a correlated bet with Waller.
Okay. That's fine. I won't have a ton of Zamir White.
And then, I don't know. I put some names. Obviously, we can't take Haskins because we have Henry.
I know you were in on Ingram early in the offseason, but it seems like you've kind of cooled off a little bit.
Mark Ingram?
Yeah, like I know that you were taking him at the end of like dynasty drafts and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like, I saw you.
I would happily take Mark Ingram here. Yeah, totally, I would. I think the only thing that I think sorry?
James White kind of isn't a little bit interesting.
I don't really want to take White because we already took McKissick. Like I'd rather just take
similar type.
I would have taken Mark Ingram.
All right, there goes Ingram.
I think Dearness is kind of interesting just in case they do something with Hunt. Obviously, we're not taking Drake any longer. I'm fine with Falcons Damian. I'm fine with P. Ryan. I'm okay with Chris Evans, if you prefer him. I'm looking at Breida, honestly.
Let's go. Let's go. Oh man, Breida is very interesting, man.
You want to do Breida? I'll take Breida.
Yeah, let's go Breida. I'm gonna have so much Saquon. Let's kind of bet against him for a second here.
So this is like I mentioned the Zamir White thing. This is the thing that I do really often, where when I'm invested in the passing side of an offense that I think is possibly run heavy, I like to pair the backup to the early down runner with the passing pieces, just because I like to play off that injury contingency. So like I had a lot last year where I had a lot of like Henderson Cup teams or Henderson Woods teams. And then the one that didn't come to fruition, of course, but I had so many teams of like Tannehill, AJ Brown, Darrington Evans, or Tannehill, Julio, Darrington Evans, or whatever. And it was kind of the same thing I was saying with like Matt Ryan, where it's like, to me, the number one pairing with Matt Ryan isn't as much. I mean, I certainly want Pittman, but to me, the guy that I have to have on all my Matt Ryan teams is Hines, because that changes everything. Like they have nothing behind Jonathan Taylor. It's Tyson Williams, Philip Lindsay,
Jordan Wilkins, maybe.
No, he's on the Giants actually. He's on the Titans. The Colts have Tyson Williams, Philip Lindsay, Deion Jackson, Devontae Price, Max Borghi, and CJ Verdell, I believe, are all of the options. And I mean, they're going to cut half of them. But like they're going to have a bad running back behind Taylor as the early down guy. And so if Taylor gets hurt, like Hines, I think obviously he's a smash. He's going to play a lot more snaps. It's not going to be the workhorse. But
what do you think about Hines' standalone value?
I like it because
Me too.
Because I think that we saw in the year with Rivers. I mean, I forget what he was in points per game. I know it was way less, but he was the RB15 overall. I think he was like a fringe RB2 in points per game. But he had some spike weeks with Phillip Rivers. And the issue with Hines is that he's a lot less predictable than a lot of pass catching backs are, like in managed, where in managed, it's usually like, okay, this team's an underdog. I'll play, like with McKissick, it's usually pretty easy because they're so scripted with him. It's like, oh, Washington looks like they're going to get blown out this week. I'll play McKissick. He'll catch 8 dump offs. And Hines' usage is just weirder. Like they'll run these scripted plays with him some weeks, and then other weeks they don't. But Taylor actually plays a lot of third downs. So it's a little bit more odd, and it's less like predictable in terms of how he's used. But they'll just have weeks where Hines is a major part of the game plan. And in best ball, it makes him kind of a spike guy. He doesn't have the contingent value, that like a Madison does. Like if Taylor goes down, they're not just going to be like Nyheim Hines, here's 15 carries, but he'll certainly get more work. Like he'll play every long down and distance snap, and he'll probably get, maybe 40-50% of the rushes. And yeah, I think with Matt Ryan, like we saw with Patterson, Matt Ryan loves checking down to the running backs, right? Even Mike Davis, it's total opposite of Wentz, who can't hit a check down to save his life, which is unfortunate for the JD McKissick share we just drafted. So I like Hines a lot for that. And their wide receivers are ass. Hines set a career high in snaps at wide receiver last year. They let Zach Pascal go, who was their primary slot wide receiver last year. I think that Hines could play 200 snaps at slot wide receiver this year. I don't think that that's unforeseeable at all. He's a really good slot wide receiver.
And T.Y. Hilton's not there anymore, right? They cut him maybe?
Yeah, they haven't brought him back. He's a free agent. He was just on a 1 year last year. They might bring him back, but I mean, he's so
I hope they
washed. I hope they do, like for the locker room. And I love T.Y. Hilton. He's one of my 5 favorite football players ever. But I mean, the dude's cooked. No, we can say it. Like, I mean, we watched him play last year.
He wins with speed too. It's tough.
He's not good anymore. It's fine. He's fun for the locker room. Great team guy. I'd love to have him back. He's not a factor though.
Maybe you can show Paris Campbell a thing or two.
Right, and you look at the wide receiver room. It's like, so it's Pittman, right? He's obviously going to play X. Alec Pierce, presumably, probably the day one starter is Z. I got to force myself to take some Alec Pierce.
I don't hate him in best ball.
And then slot, like I guess Paris Campbell, but like, I mean, good luck.
Maybe for the first couple weeks.
Ashton Doolin, but like he's been more of like a jet motion guy. Yeah, Brock saying Hines ran 120 routes. Patterson 160 according to Zach Hicks. Let's get those hunts. Yeah, that's my prediction for the season is he runs 200 routes out wide. In addition to running back, I think that out wide or in the slot.
Yeah, that counts like slot.
As a lineup as a receiver, like 200 routes, excluding backfield routes. I think that's the plan. And mention Zach Hicks. He's one of my favorite Colts writers. He's been really plugged in, and he's been really hammering this that they're going to use Hines more in sets with Taylor, where Taylor's going to be the primary back but Hines is going to line up either in the backfield with him or he's going to line up in the slot. All right, what do we think? Let's quickly look through this team here. How are we feeling? We'll recap. We got Zach Wilson with Elijah and with Lockett. We've got Dak with CD plus Henry. So that's fun. We got the game stacks on both our quarterbacks. We've got a little Melvin Rojo action.
I love the Melvin Rojo.
We got the double backup running backs with the pass games with Tony and with Waller. Then we got the Tony Breida Pittman situation. We got we have one more, right? We have Pickens and we have Bateman. Yeah. Fun team. I like the team.
Yeah, it's pretty. A nice hero RB team with the big dog. Definitely. Yeah. I would say the odds that we were going to Henry are super long.
What would have been the odds? It's like I'm gonna do a draft stream with Ron Stewart, and our first pick that we do on stream together is the big dog.
Plus 2,000.
Plus 2,000 for sure. All right, we're gonna hop on another one here. Brock, if you want to draft with us, anybody else, we're gonna hit. Let's do it. This one also, we're only waiting for one person. What do we want? We want do we want pick
anything in the top 6? Top 5, right? Anything in the top 5, really.
Top 5. I can't do another fucking Eckler team. Oh, 1-1.
Wow. Influencer 101.
How
have you been attacking the 101s?
In multiple different ways.
Yeah. I've been sort of just using it to get JT exposure. But I wanting to get weird at the 1.
Here's my stance on the 101. So my actual 101 is Justin Jefferson. That's obviously tough to take him at the 101 because I can often get him as far back as the 104 or the 105. My RB1 is Christian McCaffrey, who I can usually almost always get at the 102 and sometimes even the 103 or 104. And then Cup is a guy who I prefer Jefferson straight, but I certainly want a lot of Cup exposure. So it's to me, there's one of 4 guys that I can take at the 101. And I've actually taken all 4 of them at the 101 on different occasions. I got the 101 actually in my last draft before I streamed with you, and I did take Taylor. That was the 3-3-9-3 where I took Taylor 101, and then all of a sudden I get back to 24. I watch Brown and Higgins fly off the board, and I got to take I think Barkley, and I took Javonte. Who are we doing? We have 2 Colts fans. We have Brock in the chat. Are we going to just go JT?
I'm done for whatever you want to do. I'm cool with whatever. I'm
fine with JT because I can pivot later, but I got to get my JT exposure somehow.
Yeah, that's where I've been is just I wanted if it was a managed league or maybe not a managed league, but just something, you know what I mean, where I just don't want to cut myself off from JT by getting too weird at the 101.
This is me, Brock. Yeah, the way I look at it is later in the year, right? As I look at my exposures in July and August, it's if I get the 101, say in 12% of my drafts, which by the way, I've had the 101 an absurd amount. Going back to the big board, I had the 101 in over 20% of my big board drafts.
Wow.
So it's been really ridiculous. Anyway, if that trend somehow continues, and I just keep getting more than 8% of the 101s, and I'm sitting there with I already have 10% Taylor, I think I would like to finish with about 6% Taylor.
Yeah.
Because I really want to be overweight on Jefferson, Cup, and McCaffrey. And I think that the way to do that
you don't have Chase in that conversation?
Chase is clearly 5 for me. I'll take him every time at 5 if the others are gone. But I think
But you're not being as conscious of wanting to get that exposure in the same range as the other 3?
I would love to have exposure to all of them. What I would love is for more people to take Henry and Eckler in the top 5. Is what I would really love because I would like to get some of that extra exposure to them at the 6 and at the 7. But my issue is I'm looking at it and I want to be I want to be so exposed to Jefferson. I
was going to ask, what's your sort of bull case for him as the 1?
Well, so
I haven't even really set out and made rankings yet, but that's interesting.
So he had a phenomenal season last year, of course, right? I mean, we all know. I think I forget the exact stats offhand, but he was averaging almost 100 yards a game. And he was doing that in the Mike Zimmer world, which I think Mike Zimmer is just one of the stone worst coaches that we have, in the football world.
And they had like every
boomer.
Kubiak come through there too. Like Kubiak's son, Kubiak came in there just mucking it up.
Gross, right? And like as a Kirk Cousins truther and as a Jefferson truther and as like a constant, like Cook missed a lot of time last year. I don't know how many times I was like, everyone's playing Madison. I'll play Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. Like I'll fucking do it again meme. Mm-hmm. Like I was just rooting for the Vikings all the way back to like, I've always been a huge Diggs truther. And even back to like when Diggs on the Vikings, I've just watched so many Vikings games, like rooting for Cousins and Diggs and then Jefferson. And it's just this constant experience of being like, oh my God. Same as the Titans, by the way, where it's like, I really hope they get down 14-0. Otherwise, Zimmer won't play offense today. It's just like so infuriating. And to me, just a coach that's likely to open it up a little bit more, to play with a little bit more pace. Like, I think Jefferson still even has potential room to grow. He's going into year 3. That's sort of the last year that we usually see rate stats continue. Like, if Jefferson is a 30% target share, 40% air yards type player in an offense that actually wants to throw the ball, I think his ceiling is immense. And Cup, I think, has like the same ceiling. But
we just saw it, yeah.
Yeah, we just saw it. But I mean, better target competition. I think similar offensive scheme. I think maybe this is blasphemous, but I think similar quarterback play. And, you know, he has a little bit more age question marks. So to me, Jefferson, I just think is set up to smash this year. And I think he has real potential to be up over 20 points per game, even in half PPR.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then you could argue, he says, I think you could argue Jefferson is the second best wide receiver football talent-wise, the better scheme. I agree. I think Devontae Adams is the best wide receiver in football. His situation is just clearly not as good, in my opinion, as Jefferson and Kupp's. And Chase, yeah, I think Chase just a tier behind because we'll see what he has to step forward this year. And he certainly could. I mean, he's going into year 2, transcendent prospect and everything. But to me, like, even if he steps forward and is a wide receiver capable of being a 30% target share kind of guy, he's still probably not going to earn one because of Higgins and Boyd's presence. Mm-hmm. And then we just don't know for sure if he's going to be able to take, you know, that large of a step. So to me, Chase is clearly the third banana. But I love all these guys, and I love McCaffrey too. And I love Taylor, of course. I mean, everybody loves Taylor. So
the thing that annoys me with Chase, man, is his thesis is the exact same as Jefferson last year, and we got Jefferson at the 2-3 turn last year. Like, the ADP has really sharpened up here. I thought, like, I remember when you tweeted at me, we were like, oh, we were gonna take him like mid-second all day long or something like that, and then the Bengals went into the playoffs and just got all this steam, and now Chase is a top 6 pick in redraft, which is like really 3 years ago you would have never seen that.
Yeah, I mean, if I would prefer to have all of the Jamar Chase and all of the Justin Jefferson, right? But unfortunately, it seems as though choices have to be made. A little upsetting to see AJ Brown go there. So I think Higgins, like, I don't imagine I have to fight you to take Higgins with one of these picks, right? Who's the other pick? Because
I'm open to. I have 2 ideas, or I have a couple ideas here. I like. Okay. I don't mind Higgins and Tyreek, and I also don't mind. I don't mind Higgins and this is gonna sound weird, but I don't mind like Higgins and Josh Allen with that Bengals Bills stack. Just a kind of, but I also don't love taking Josh Allen that early.
I'm not really vibing a 3-1 Allen without Diggs, to be honest with you.
I feel it. I'm cool with Barkley, Tyreek Hill. Those are really the only 2 that stick out.
Yeah, I mean, Barkley JT, right? That's a week 17er.
I'm down. Yeah, I actually didn't even think about that.
All right, let's do Barkley. This is clearly the I'll fucking do it again meme, but so I actually went through. I did ranks this morning for running backs. I didn't do them all for wide receivers, but I want to be very clear. I will never draft this way because it's unnecessary and irresponsible. Saquon Barkley is my RB4. I'm really high. I'm really high on the Giants this year.
I love them with Dable.
Everything we've heard is that they want to use him in the pass game as much as possible. The depth chart behind him doesn't exist. It is the guy we just took, Matt freaking Breida, unathletic UDFA, Jayshon Corbin. Is there anyone else that's hanging around there?
Oh man, if there's some other guy jag. Gainwell might be his name, or Brightwell or something like that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking
Gary
about?
Brightwell. No, if your name is Gary, you're not.
It's already looking
Gary,
tough.
you run a 4.9. I'm sorry, that's the rules. You run a 4.9 if your name is Gare.
Now I'm trying to think of good Garys, but I can't.
There's not as there can't be any good Garys. Is there? There's no good Gary running back.
Gary
Is there?
Payton in the
Yeah, well, Gary
NBA. That's
Payton.
all I got.
I'm trying to think of there's Gary Roberts in hockey, but I'm thinking of a Gary running back.
No, Gary Payton? Or am I an idiot? No.
You just said that.
Walter Payton. I'm an idiot.
Walter Payton. Gary Payton, of course, is the basketball player. That's why you're saying that. But apparently there's a guy named Gary Anderson. He played in the 80s. He was primarily used on kickoff returns.
Was the Browns tight end named Gary Barnage or something like that?
Gary Barnage. Yeah.
Yep. That's a Gary. That's a Gary right there.
Yeah, I mean, as everybody knows, I am the originator of the hashtag Gary Barnage Index. Which tight end? I don't know if you. I imagine you can probably read between the lines here, but the Gary Barnage Index, of course, is a rating of mid-career breakout tight ends. Of a 10 out of 10 on the Barnage Index is very unlikely to ever repeat or have staying power. 1 out of 10 on the Barnage Index is someone who we actually believe in, right? So Darren Waller, for instance, proved himself to be a 1 on the Barnage Index. Meanwhile, Logan Thomas looking pretty Barnagey. Tyler Higbee, probably the closest. He did it so much that we almost renamed it to Tyler Higbee Index. Who do you think this year, if you had to pick, like between say, I guess Dawson Knox would probably be the big one. Dalton Schultz.
I would say Tanyan.
Well, Tanyan already faded.
Well, he's already sort of showed it to us.
Right. Like I'm thinking of the guys, Knox and Schultz got to be the two big ones.
Yeah.
Freiermuth is too young. Who do you think is more likely? Who do you think is higher on the Barnage Index between Knox and Schultz?
My gut says that it should probably be Schultz just because of Knox being hyper athletic. But it wouldn't shock me if it was the other way because it's sort of that Schultz can kind of play, which I don't hate that idea.
Sorry. And yes, Brock, I really would love to get Fournette type usage for Saquon this year. I'd also like to have some Tom Brady like performance from Daniel Jones this year.
That's what I'm saying. I was saying, I was thinking that it's probably Schultz just because of his archetype, but I could see it being the other way around.
I kind of like Schultz.
That's what I was gonna say. I was thinking that you probably like Schultz. I don't mind him. I've been taking him a little bit.
I like Schultz a lot. Like Schultz earned a target 22% of his routes last year. His route rate was pretty low early in the season because he was still splitting with the ghost of Blake Jarwin. I imagine he's going to be running 85-90% of the routes this year, and he's probably the clear second best target earner on the team behind CeeDee Lamb. I'm really bearish on Gallup's injury status. MCL, I believe, plus ACL, and it was a late season. It was in the championship week last year, like the best ball championship week. So I think he's in a really strong position. Okay, one of these picks to me seems very obvious. The other,
I'd love to go McLaurin. I'd love to go Kittle McLaurin.
That seems like the clear.
Yeah, let's
jam, right?
Yeah, let's do that for sure.
All right, let's do it. I guess the only other option is we could have gone with Gabriel Davis to pair with T.
Higgins.
But what would it take for you to draft Gabriel Davis over Terry McLaurin? Would you ever be able to log into Google Sheets again, or do you think that your password would be revoked?
If I had done a like a Diggs, Player X, Josh Allen, then that's probably Gabriel Davis there.
We almost did. We almost took Josh Allen. We could have had Josh Allen at the 3-1.
But like you said, it does make more sense if you have Diggs. But if I do go Diggs, Josh Allen, that 5th round pick has to be Gabriel Davis if he's there.
It does, which is why I didn't want to do it. I'm so torn on Dave, man. I really wish that he was going in like the Chenault range last year.
Yeah, like
if around 6-7 range, like I would be much more willing to take a stand on Gabriel Davis. Like where Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to me is like a perfect spot of like a guy where it's like there's a lot of reason to think he's good, but there's also reason to think that he might not be. And the opportunity cost in terms of like the solid points is like the Brandon Cookses of the world, right? Where it's like, okay, whatever. If I miss on Brandon Cooks, I'll be okay. But man, where Gabe Davis is going, it's a struggle. It's kind of like It's like Ayuk last year, right?
Yeah.
Where like he was going like uncomfortably high to the point where I really loved Ayuk. I mean, I think Ayuk's profile coming into last year was like way better, honestly, than Davis' profile coming into this year. But he was at a point where, I mean, I'm a huge Ayuk fan, but I was like, man, I think I had 8% only in best ball. Because I was like,
yeah, me too.
Going in like
I actually had more
middle of
Debo.
round 4. Yeah, it got like really uncomfortable where it's like we're taking this guy over actual superstars. Yeah, I'm thinking, no, Brock, I'm not sold. I'm not sold at all.
You know why I love Gabe Davis? I see you got a little trophy smack in the top right corner.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Underdog send me this little ring right here.
There
yes,
it is.
sir.
There
yes,
it is.
sir. That's
there
from the Chiefs Bills, like whatever, like the single slate, or no, it was Chiefs Bills and it was whatever the game was early on. Maybe it was
it was Bucks.
Maybe it was Bengals
Rams.
Raiders. I can't remember.
Bucks and Rams.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
I hate Gabriel Davis for that reason because on the 4-game DraftKings slate, I was sitting in first place of a pretty small field tournament, but it was I think like a $50 single entry. I want to say I forget.
Yeah, mine was I think like $25 single entry.
Like the red zone. It was a DK contest, like a DFS DK contest for the 4-game slate, and yeah, I was sitting in first place at the start of the 4th quarter in that Chiefs Bills game. Without a lot of Chiefs or Bills. I had a lot of I had crushed it on the Tampa Rams stack. I had like a Stafford, Cup, Van Jefferson, Fournette stack or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously landing.
And Cup went crazy. I remember he had like a long touchdown to like win the game or something like that.
Yeah, Cup went ham and Fournette like got
Evans
all
had
of
a big one too.
He did, yeah. And Fournette got all the touchdowns when they were coming back. And so I was sitting in such a nice spot, and I was just like, this game needs to chill. And it was really chill for most of the game. All the scoring was in the 4th quarter overtime. I went from first place to like a min cash, and it was insane. I hated it.
I have the opposite experience because all day I was looking at my phone, I was like, nothing is happening. I'm a mess right now. Because like I was negative in those daily things. I was like, stop being a degenerate, stop betting on daily slates on underdog. You're being an idiot. And then the 4th quarter, I saw me go from dead to like competing for first place.
Yeah, that's what you love to see. So what are we thinking here? I think it's certainly not going to be a running back. Not in this disgusting range with 2 RBs. It's probably not going to be a tight end either ahead of ADP.
Yeah, I agree.
With Kittle already there. So I mean, if Burrow is there, I feel like we should take him with T. Higgins, right?
Yeah, he would make sense there. I do. I like the wide receivers.
Or we could double tap Hurts and Smith also.
Oh, that's actually interesting as well.
I'm open to either of those, but let's see what is available.
Yeah, let's see.
I love that you came in and you're like, I need to taper off my Elijah Moore exposure. We potentially will draft him twice.
But yeah, I want to pick your brain on him a little bit more in a second once we make this pick.
Hurts, of course, just goes off to Lit Goat 7. That's Hurts' ADP. Actually, that's behind ADP. So that is a drink, but it's a drink for a different reason. That's the we're whining about getting sniped when it went 6 picks after ADP.
All right, let's go Devontae.
Burrow seems like a clear pick, right? Mm-hmm. Do we want to do Devontae? I'm struggling a little bit with Devontae just based on the situation, but I should shake myself out of that.
Yeah, let's go Devontae. What I was going to ask you about, like Devontae, Elijah Moore, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, especially Elijah Moore, like they all have very similar profiles to kind of T. Higgins and Ayuk last year, who are going like in the 4-5 turn range. I'm kind of shocked that you can get those guys at the 6-7 turn range. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if you kind of just need the degenerates to get in these rooms like in August, and it could get a little bit ugly. Do you think that they're like significantly worse bets than Ayuk and Higgins from last year?
No, I don't, which is why I keep drafting them. So I think that Amon-Ra St. Brown, I mean, the parallels between him and Ayuk are endless, right? And I think that's probably Ayuk is like why Amon-Ra St. Brown's ADP.
And that's a good thing, but people will like sort of wince when you say that.
Yeah, like people are making like this like 1-for-1 comparison, which is, I think it's silly for 2 reasons. Like number one, like every player is their own thing. You know, like Amon-Ra St. Brown will not like succeed or fail because Brandon Ayuk failed. Like I get it. Like we have to understand like every one of these bets exists on their own little probability spectrum. They have their own little curve, and like Ayuk landed at one end of his curve. That doesn't like dictate how Amon-Ra St. Brown's will go. I think that, yeah, I mean, I think that's probably what's holding back Amon-Ra St. Brown's ADP. And then it's silly for another reason in the sense that like Ayuk goes what? 6 picks after Amon-Ra or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so the bad news side of the Amon-Ra St. Brown situation is that he goes the same ADP next year.
Yeah.
Okay, that seems fine. So I'm pretty into the Amon-Ra. I think that the issue with Amon-Ra potentially over Ayuk, well, it ended up being an issue for Ayuk, but we didn't foresee that. It's just the routes. Like, I think that there's a world. It's not the world that I want to live in. It's not the world I expect to live in. But shout out Andrew Cooper, who's been on this, and I think he's wrong for what it's worth, but I'll highlight it. Where he's just very positive that Amon-Ra is not going to play in 2 wide receiver sets. Where he's just saying it's going to be Chark and it's going to be Jameson, and Amon-Ra is going to be slot only. And I don't think that that's going to be what happens. Like, I think that people put way too much. People have been saying the same thing about Elijah Moore. Also, Andrew has, and a lot of folks are saying this. It's like, I think people care way too much about like who plays in the slot. I think the best players are going to play. Yeah, I'm not really that worried about it. But there is that line of thinking, and it's certainly a thing where it's like, yeah, if he only plays 75% of the routes, that kind of kills the ceiling. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think Amon-Ra is good. I think that he's going to play in the slot, and then I think he's going to kick the flanker. And I like his situation. And yeah, I mean, Moore, just everything about the Jets is mispriced. I think Breece Hall should go at the beginning of round 3.
Yeah.
I think Elijah Moore should go at the 4 or 5 turn. And I think Garrett Wilson should go in the middle of round 6. And I think that Zach Wilson should go like in round like 12th. Like, I just think that every single player in that offense is like mispriced by 20% because people don't like the Jets.
I love this. I also love, I cannot stand, I hear so much. Like that's sort of following for a while, and he just fades the Jets. He's like, it's been a profitable strategy in the long run. Like, the Jets, they just always suck. Just so tough, man. Like, I get so many same old Jets. I know there was one YouTuber I won't name that kind of said that they don't want to draft like Garrett Wilson or Elijah Moore because like you're betting on Zach Wilson, who's supposed to be the savior, and so was like Darnold. It's so much. The thing is that they have new ownership in, right? Or not new ownership. They have like Joe Douglas up top and all that, but it's just a different situation. So it's just, I don't know. I can't stand the same old Jets kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. Like, I mean, didn't we just do this last year with like, don't draft a Lions running back, and then DeAndre Swift was good? Like, I'm just so sick of this. Like, no, it doesn't matter. Like, they might suck because Zach Wilson like very well might suck. That's very possible. But they're not sucking because of the logo on the helmet. It's absurd. And I don't even think, if we're looking at like clown show organizations, right? To me, I'm like a little bit more interested in the idea of like, oh, like Washington looks like an organization that has no idea what they're doing. Ouch, back to back. Well, we better figure something out because otherwise we're going to auto draft Lazard. What the hell?
Oh, this is ugly. We already have a quarterback.
We could do Lance with Kittle.
Yeah, okay.
But then what about the other pick?
Man.
Okay, I'm okay with this Lance thing. I know it's a little early for the second quarterback, but it's fine.
I don't hate
We're obviously
Watson.
not taking another one. I kind of do. MVS, Woods, Tony.
And if you want to go MVS and get us into some KC Denver type stuff.
Well, it's got to be a wide receiver. I
mean,
which of these wide receivers
could go like, Tony again? We could do
Boyd.
No, I think Boyd's too much of a read. Let's go MVS. Jeez.
Okay.
Let's go MVS.
God, that's gross.
That's ugly. But
that is gross.
Chiefs Broncos going.
So this is just a range. Like, I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do over the course. That range of wide receiver is really gross to me.
Disgusting. Once Wilson and Olave are gone, it gets disgusting.
Yeah. I guess
Claypool and Tony I don't hate though, but like you don't want to reach on them like a full 12 picks.
So that's what I was gonna get into. Is like I deferred you on this MVS one. I think Wilson is just like a fantastic value. I think Olave I'm not like as enthused about, but whatever. He's a young player. I'm always gonna be like open minded to the young players. And then I think that before them, like I mentioned, I like Lockett. I think Kirk is like not the worst thing in the world, and I like Ayuk. And then after that, like I want no part of Lazard. Shout out Dave Kluge. I mean, what a ridiculous ADP. No chance I'm drafting Lazard. I'm really bearish on Gallup's health. And I'm just bearish on Michael Gallup kind of period. Like he has a 2019 year, which was really solid. Beyond that, it's been kind of gross. Christian Watson is like I'm open-minded to because like he's a young player, but I just don't think he's very good. And then like the two guys that I really want to be overweight on are Claypool and Tony. I think they're both mispriced. I would take them over all those guys. Yeah, and MVS is like kind of like Lazard in a sense where it's like he's just not that good of a player. It's just a matter of like how much you want to reach. And it's an interesting decision when it comes to reaching because we're in a spot there picking up the turn where it's unlikely we'll be able to draft either of them at our next pick. So it's like, is that a reach if you can't draft the guy at the next pick? And I have my thoughts on that, but let's hear yours. Do you think that that's a thing where, we should be taking guys 12 spots ahead of ADP? Is that okay if you're not picking for 24 spots?
It's a tough debate. I think for me, I think 12. I was actually talking with Hayden the other day where it gets tougher because we're in round 8-9 here. We were at the 8-9 turn. As you get further on in the draft, reaching 12 picks in round 9 versus reaching 12 picks in like round 4 is, like a different sort of trade-off there. So you can definitely make the excuse. I don't hate it if you're stacking something. It's not something I love to do. I guess it's kind of a decent way of sort of, naturally diversifying there of, just forcing yourself to sort of take those guys at ADP.
Oh, geez.
But yeah, I agree. It's not the end of the world. If you were like very firm about going like Tony or Claypool there, I wouldn't have, I think you got to click on go to draft.
Oh, there we go. I was like, what the hell? I'm trying to find. Yeah, okay. I'm trying to find Crowder because that's kind of our last chance on the Bills to pair with Burrow and Higgins. So I don't know what we're gonna do at Raiders either. Anyway, I'm with you.
DeMarcus Robinson.
No.
I've been loving some 18th round DeMarcus Robinson. I've only done it like once in a Raiders San Fran stack, but he seems like a little spike week kind of guy.
I'll take Drake or Zamir or honestly Brandon Bolden before I would take DeMarcus Robinson.
I was going to tell you with the Zamir White thing. I love Zamir White in the process. I'm not going to spend too long on this, so we have to pick here. But I don't know. Like I almost think he might get like not practice squatted, but like almost like redshirted this year with like McDaniels coming over. He brought Brandon Bolden. You got Kenyon Drake. You got Josh Jacobs. Like I don't know if he's going to be. I don't know how many times he's going to suit up.
I mean, it's definitely possible, but I mean that's also why he's going around 18.
That's fair.
I
don't hate Penny.
So I was gonna say like
Tim Patrick.
I think Patrick we should take with MVS.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to do that.
Jarvis or no, that's too far.
I'm okay with Penny because he pairs nicely with. Or no, we didn't get Elijah Moore this round. I'm still okay with him. Yeah, no. I'm okay with Jarvis. I'm like
let's go.
I'm okay with Crowder too because you want Penny. I'll give you.
Yeah, let's go Penny. Let's go because I think that Penny is one of those guys where we can literally just cut it off at 4.
Yeah,
right. We can go like one more and then probably cut it off there.
This is solely for the good vibes. My Puppy 2 finals team had Taylor, Barkley, and Penny on it. So
I remember that. Maybe Sony was on there too, or Justin Jackson.
It was Taylor, Barkley, Penny, Justin Jackson, and Giovanni Bernard.
How did that team end up doing in the final week? I don't feel like I ever.
Not. It was fine. It finished like top 25% or something, but it wasn't like enough to do anything phenomenal. I mean, the Penny
enough week, to give you generational wealth.
It was not. The Penny week was obviously terrific, but I didn't have St. Brown. So and then I mean the big thing is I didn't have Jamar Chase, and if you didn't have Jamar Chase, then you weren't really competing for it. So I had I think. I was hoping the problem was I knew that I needed weird guys to go off because I had the same Stafford, Cup, Andrews stack the entire field had. So it was like they were okay-ish. I had Debo and Cooks, and I was hoping that game would shoot out a little bit more because that would have been fun. But yeah, it just didn't amount to much, but the Penny week was fun to experience. I wish I had St. Brown, which is infuriating because I drafted just an absolute crap ton of St. Brown last year, and I really wish that he would have been on that team with Penny. Like he was one of my most highest drafted players. That guy had like 22% or something, St. Brown. So I wish that I had him on that particular team, but
I wish I was more in on Amon-Ra last year.
Yeah, he was just a guy where I was really, really high on him pre-draft. I had him as my wide receiver 7 pre-draft, and then he fell, which sucked. But he went to the Lions, and I was pretty in on all the Lions at cost. I was like, well, let's take this young guy who's going to potentially get a bunch of targets. Why not? And so I was really in on him. I was really in on pretty much every line. Like I was really exposed to Swift, Amon-Ra, Hawkinson, and Jamal Williams.
How do you like Swift's sort of like late second round price this year?
Not loving it. Not loving it.
Like I'm trying to think of like builds where he kind of makes sense.
Well,
because you probably go like Jefferson early or something like that, and then you come back around and go Swift.
Yeah, it's kind of the same as what I was doing a lot last year with Swift, which was like taking him as my hero running back.
But you could do it in round 3, which was amazing.
Yeah, or round
I think you can do a
Saquon
Saquon this year, where you go wide receiver, and then hero RB Saquon.
Yeah, definitely. I've did a little bit of, this is maybe a little bold, but I'm getting tempted into doing hero RB round 5 Travis Etienne.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all.
I mean, it's sort of like somewhere between a hero RB and a 0 RB. You know,
would you still go 6 RBs in that world?
Depends on like
depends on how many other mid-round RBs you kind of go with.
I've done both. Like I've done like depends on when my RB2 is. So like I've done ones where it's like ETN and then my next running back is like Kenneth Walker, and in that build I'm probably going with 5. Yeah. And I've done ones where it's like ETN and then my RB2 is Alexander Madison. And it's like in that world I'm going 6 obviously.
Yeah, I don't think that's I think that makes sense.
And I've done some, like one of my favorites is like I'm calling it the hyper dead zone, where I take Breece Hall and Travis Etienne, and then I go with 4 or 5.
I saw I saw Beimfour do something absolutely insane. He did like, I want to say he went like Connor, Montgomery, like Miles Sanders, and cut it off at 3, I think.
You know what? I had a team. This is remarkable. I had a team advance to the semifinals with McCaffrey, Mixon, Jacobs last year. And that was it, just those 3. I did a 2-3-11-2. If McCaffrey had actually played, that team would have been so sick.
Yeah.
And you know the craziest part of that team? It had Lance on it.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know who the other QB was?
Yeah, it was Mahomes. It was I took I took McCaffrey 101. I took Kittle and Mixon at the 2-3 turn. And Mahomes was there at 412. So I ended up doing like secondary stacks. I took Mahomes with like McCole, Hardman, and Pringle or something like that. And then I just had a zillion wide receivers. Like I had Debo on that team, of course. Like I had Debo, Kittle, and Lance. And then I had Jacobs, of course, in round 7. And I forget who else I hit on. I hit on like a few like pretty nice like late round wide receivers. I think I had Amon-Ra on that team. Almost certainly had Amon-Ra on that team. Okay, what are we doing here? Gronk is interesting.
Yeah, Gronk is kind of interesting this far past his ADP. I feel like almost just on principle, we probably should.
Yeah, I'm okay with a principally based Gronkowski. And that means we're now good at tight end and at quarterback. So we don't have to look at running back, wide receiver. Who's the best wide receiver here?
Bell is kind of
any of these guys correlated? Yes, we have McLaurin, David Bell.
Perfect. I love that.
That's great. Love that for us. Yeah, we love to see that. How are you handling the Browns? That's an interesting team we haven't talked about. Like, are you drafting Deshaun Watson? And if you do draft Deshaun Watson, what is your team looking like around him?
If I draft Deshaun, I have like a couple teams with him. I don't want to be overexposed on Deshaun. I think he makes sense in some, especially like puppies, where you can kind of like stand to like sort of burn some teams. I don't hate, like I've gone as thin as just like Deshaun Watson and Justin Fields, and you just are pretty much betting that he plays week 1, which I know is a very long shot at this point. But I mean, Deshaun, you could go like Deshaun, Bell. It does get tough, like in terms of trying to stack him, unless like you already have. I'm trying to think. I guess like I'm not drafting a ton of Amari, but I do think he's interesting because I think especially sort of how you talk about like the closing line value. This might be me sort of applying it in a wrong way, but the minute that it's announced like 4-game suspension, 0-game suspension, anything like that, like you now have a guy who is like a top 7 round guy, top 6 round guy.
So let's say this. What suspension do you think is the break even point with his current ADP? Like what's his X number of games his ADP doesn't move at all, or his ADP shouldn't move at all? Like I'm trying to figure out what the actual market expectation is right now, because it's like a compromise position, but like what's the median? Is this a 6-game suspension price? Is this a 4-game suspension price? Is this a half the season price? Like
an 11th round guy-ish right now, right?
Yeah, he's going right next to Kirk Cousins. Like exact same ADP as Cousins.
I'd say I think 6 is probably a decent number there.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been thinking. I think 6 to 8 because I mean he's still going to be back in the weeks that you ultimately need him,
and he could explode in the weeks that you need him as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think the interesting thing is like people have said, oh, people have said like, oh, what you should do with Watson is you should go like 2 quarterbacks, and I think it's different. Like that was my argument for Trey Lance and Justin Fields last year, where I was like, just go 2 quarterbacks because you're betting on these guys starting sooner rather than later anyway. And if they don't, then your team sucks. I think with Watson, it's a little different. Like I think the odds that Watson just plays week 1 are like totally stone zero almost. So I think with Watson, like it's a little different. Like I think what you're doing is what you're doing with DeAndre Hopkins, which is like, this guy's not going to play for a while, but he's going to score points when it matters. How do I get my team there? And I'm probably doing like, the thing is, I don't want to make a 2 QB build team that just has like Watson on it. I think what I look at is like, okay, Kirk Cousins is going right next to Watson. If Kirk Cousins is my QB1, then I'm probably drafting a 3 quarterback team. You don't have to, but it's definitely reasonable to do so. Like if you drafted like Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, Daniel Jones, right? So why don't I just draft Deshaun Watson, Jared Goff, Daniel Jones? Like, why is that a bad use of opportunity cost? It's the same opportunity cost as Kirk Cousins. I'll rely on the 2 late quarterbacks between, a Matt Ryan, a Mac Jones, a Jared Goff, whatever, to get me through the suspension. And then I'm just going to like overstack the hell out of the Browns. Like I'll just draft like Cooper, I'll draft Chubb, I'll draft Bell, I'll draft Njoku, I'll draft Donovan Peoples-Jones, any of them, right? Any of those guys. Because at that point, like I'm really betting on the spike weeks down the stretch. So I'm probably not as into the 2 QB with Watson. I guess if I'd already gone early quarterback.
Yeah.
To me, like
that's a little bit interesting too. Like I don't know if I would like if I went Kyler, like I don't know that I'd want to like I don't know that helped your team out a ton. You know what I mean?
Because that's the thing. It's like then what do I need the extra ceiling for?
Yeah.
Right. It's like if I have Kyler, I'm probably not even going to want to take Cousins. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like that's too much opportunity cost on quarterback. Oh, but Watson's a better ceiling. Okay, but Kyler's better ceiling. I don't know. I think the only way that I've done it is him as my first quarterback in a 3 quarterback build with 2 later quarterbacks. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I love that. And like really pushing him too, like Goff Mariota or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
or Wentz. I mean, Wentz is the other quarterback in that game, right?
Yeah.
So you could do, say you're picking where we are. Say we went Cooper McLaurin at the 4-5 turn, or you take Chubb at the 2-3 turn, and then you take McLaurin, right? Then you could go Watson and Wentz. You could add Dotson later. You could add Bell later. You could add McKissick later. You could add Donovan Peoples-Jones and Njoku. Like there's lots of options. If you want to draft a tight end who will never play games in 2022, you could draft Logan Thomas. Why does he have an ADP? It's insanity. He tore his ACL, MCL, and both meniscuses. Stop drafting this guy. Anyway, who do you want to take here? We're on the clock.
I don't hate Fuller. I hate that I don't hate James Robinson.
We're not drafting injured. We're not doing it. I want to do Robbie with Gronk. Can we do Robbie?
Yeah.
Okay, and then
Panthers Buccaneers.
Yeah.
You already got that one tucked away?
Oh, I got them all tucked away, baby. Is there anyone else that actually correlates for us? It doesn't look like it.
Peoples-Jones does, but that's a pretty big reach.
Yeah, I'm okay with Fuller, or I'm okay with J-Rob if we must. Do we have a Saint? We do not have a Saint, so there's no point in Gainwell. We could do TDP with Lance. I don't know. Let's go
Fuller. Yeah, let's just go Fuller. Where do you think he kind of signs here?
Well, hopefully Cleveland.
That'd help us. But he's interesting too. If let's say he signs with Cleveland. Yeah, that's sort of true. But if let's say he signs with Cleveland or like the Chargers, like tomorrow, where do you if we got him at the 1501 here, where do you think that he sort of ends up?
Any single place he signs, his ADP goes up.
Yeah, so that's a great player to be highly exposed on, which I need more.
Put it this way: where could he possibly sign where he's lower than a 15th round pick? Like that he would sign. Like I understand if he signed on
Jaguars.
I understand if he's but the Jaguars, I'm drafting him
sort of interesting.
Way higher than the 50th pick of the Jaguars. Like if it's like a loaded depth chart, right? Like so if he lands on the Bengals, it's like okay, I don't know, I'm gonna draft on the Bengals, but he's not gonna land there. Like to me, the Chargers make sense. The Ravens would be a great spot for him. I think the Yeah, I mean, I think the Browns still make a ton of sense. I could see the Cowboys. I mean, the Cowboys right now, that's an interesting one because they of course lost Cooper. What if they get some bad news on Gallup that he's going to have to start on the pup? James Washington is currently injured. Jalen Tolbert is currently injured. They currently have CeeDee Lamb as the only wide receiver right now in their room, and him and Simi Fehoko, I think, are the only guys that are practicing right now.
Simi Fehoko.
That I don't know. I think there's just a lot of spots where he could be a 9th, 10th round. He's good, and I'll just keep drafting Fuller. So here's the question: are we going to go? This is probably. I think we're easily good at 2 with Kittle to Gronk, because if Gronk plays, and we're assuming he plays, then he's like a top 6 tight end. So
yeah,
we're overloaded. I mean, we're obviously going to stick with just Burrow and Lance.
Yeah, we're doing it.
So the question becomes: is this we're certainly not going more than 5 here. Is this a 5-9 or a 4-10?
I think we can kind of see what falls to us at running back and wide receiver.
So Higgins
and kind of play it by ear.
Devonta.
Would love to get a Bills player, but I don't think that we really have an out there.
Khalil Shakir, round 18.
Yeah, no? That's interesting. I don't hate Isaiah McKenzie or
I'd rather draft Shakir than McKenzie now.
What do you think about Zach Moss? I don't even know that he makes sense. I don't know that he even makes sense in this build, but
I don't think he makes the team.
Yeah.
I think I would rather draft Duke Johnson than Zach Moss if we're going with.
I forgot that Duke Johnson's kind of under contract there, but it just
seemed
like
last year,
like what are. Nah, with James Cook, there's no way. But I was gonna say, like, what are the odds that we see, like, remember, like last year when it was the Zach Moss healthy scratch, Singletary came in.
Yeah,
I'll just say, what are the odds we see that with like Singletary? Like, I know it's a long shot, but oh my god, brain hack.
Zach Moss has a problem with being bad though. That's a big issue.
Yeah, that is definitely one of his drawbacks.
Okay.
I love that Raheem Mostert is falling past his ADP right here. Definitely making you thinking about it.
I'm interested. Let's talk about this Miami backfield after this pick. Either way, so I think, well, look, you made a very vigorous case for Marlon Mack before. I love Deontay Foreman. I'm fine with either of the Arizona guys, Ingram or Darrell. I love Sony. I know you want to do Mostert. We can take Mostert if you want to take Mostert.
Yeah, I just like Mostert just this far past ADP. Fine. Why not? He kind of makes some sense. What wide receivers are available here? If any. Wandale's kind of fun. I'm good with Wandale.
You don't have to tell me twice. Roll the fucking clip.
Yeah, play the clip.
That's a drink for sure. That's a drink for sure. I gotta open up a new beer.
Dude, I have Wandale everywhere.
God, yeah.
Hey, I've been very patient with him in rookie drafts, though.
I have too, and it fucks me because everyone
I've only ended up with like one share, sadly.
I have more than one, but I don't have as many as I would like because people will draft him 8 spots ahead of EDP. I have people trading up in front of me solely to troll me. Like, I'm like, can you just get a life? Like, it's so frustrating.
I got him at 301 yesterday.
He has lasted into the 3rd round in one of my like 30 rookie drafts. It is so upsetting, and I know that his ADP is like 303. It's just, yeah, it's this Wandale thing is like atrociously aggravating to me. But
he is the perfect like respecting ADP in a rookie draft type of thing. This is about
my Logan Thomas thing. Dang, he doesn't have a single knee ligament left.
Who else do they have at tight end besides Logan Thomas? I'm trying to think.
John Bates, dude. John Bates.
That sounds like a fake name.
I've been thinking about drafting John Bates.
I mean, I'm open to it if you're that low on Logan Thomas. I also hate to say you're making me really rethink some things here, but I hate to say that I have a good of most exposure, like almost so much that I would be embarrassed to say it out loud.
What, your Mostert exposure?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about this Miami.
He keeps falling, dude. He just keeps falling to me, and I'm buying into.
My stance is I'm taking Sony over straight up. So I don't even care.
You take Sony over straight up?
Yeah, I just don't care what Mostert's ADP is because I think Sony is just better. So I think. I mean, it's fun. This is why I love doing streams with other people because I'm never going to draft a Raheem Mostert share, but I'm interested in getting one now. So if I'm wrong, then I have this team to look back on. You give me your take on the Miami backfield all of the many options, and then I'll give mine, and then maybe you'll convince me. Let's hear it.
Here's the thing: we're so early on that these aren't super fledged out. But when I think about Raheem Mostert,
you are set on this take. Whatever you say now is your take for the rest of the time. You have no.
We're in the 16th round, and I'm just sort of thinking to myself, Chase Edmonds doesn't have a 3-down skill set. I understand that Raheem Mostert's kind of dusty. I imagine Chase Edmonds will take the passing down work, and then it just seems like when you bring in Mike McDaniel, who has like the Chiefs offense, probably wants to install something pretty similar to what he installed with the 49ers. He's seen Raheem Mostert do it before. I'm not saying Raheem Mostert doesn't seem like a guy. I don't think he's going to be like, you're not betting him to be like a season long, like he's going to end up as like the RB like 8 or something like that. But he does seem teed up to at least have a stretch of games that could be very useful for your lineup, where he just like, rips off like something crazy, like 100 yards and a touchdown in a game. Maybe strings a couple of those together. Plays like the Jets twice. I don't know. I just feel like he sort of has the rapport with Mike McDaniel on a new team with like a bunch of new faces in that backfield. But I do get it is just more so I'm trying to take shots at these guys. Like I also have some Sony. I also have some Myles Gaskin that I definitely need to spread out a little bit better.
Yeah, let's not draft Gaskin. He's not going to be on the roster.
Slight Gaskin.
He's not going to be on the roster. Okay, so but wait, the guy you don't have is Chase Edmonds.
Not a ton, almost not at all. I do.
I want to be like really overexposed to Chase Edmonds. Like he's a priority draft for me. Yeah.
Do you think at all? Here's the thing. It's really tough because we've never seen Mike McDaniel call his own offense. Do you think like Tyreek and Waddle kind of cut into a lot of his around the line of scrimmage type work in terms of the passing game?
Possible. It's possible. But I guess my take on Edmonds is like, if he's just the passing down back, then he fails. I think that some people are like resigned to that. I'm not at all resigned to that. I think he's the best running back on the team in all phases. Like I just think I look at Edmonds like, first of all, let's pick here, and then we'll have this conversation, review the team, and head over to your stream.
Love Mack.
Yeah, are we gonna take Marlon Mack here? Is that what we're gonna do?
Yeah, I'm cool with Mack. And then, we could go Mack and then look at the wide receivers and kind of go from there. I can't
believe that. Well, this is our last pick.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's go. Mack this far is crazy.
All right. Yeah, just truly well. If there's two late round running backs that I like are straight up off my board, there are only two of them, and it is Marlon Mack and Raheem Mostert, and we drafted both of them. So your influence will be ever felt. I won't even have to name this team. I'll just look at Mack and Mostert. I'll be like, yeah, that's the team I drafted with Ron.
You're killing me.
Those are like the only two guys that I don't care about. No, you don't. Maybe I have to rethink things. Here's my case: the Miami backfield. Okay, so first of all, I understand that there's a price differential, right? You're paying an opportunity cost of nothing for Mostert and Michelle. You're paying, not a high opportunity cost for Edmonds. He's like an 11th round pick, but a opportunity cost. Way I look at it, first of all, I want to be invested in this running game. Like, I just think that they're an interesting offense. I think they're going to want to run the ball a lot. I expect them to run the ball effectively and efficiently. So I want to have, some stacks at all these guys. Myles Gaskin, get out of here. I don't think he's making the roster. Like he was horrendous last year. And then they signed 3 other running backs. Like, I don't think that he's playing. I think if anything, Myles Gaskin, you're hoping gets cut quickly and goes to a different team.
You think Zaquandre White makes the 53-man?
I don't know. Is Malcolm Brown still there?
I know you like him too. Malcolm Brown, he might even be there. Jeez. I know Salvin Ahmed probably.
I think Salvin Ahmed has experience with the coaching staff, right? He used to be in San Francisco before he went to Miami.
I wasn't aware.
He was originally signed to SF, and they put him on the taxi squad. Miami signed him from there.
Okay.
It was him and JaMychal Hasty were both UDFA at the same class. I don't know. I just think Gaskin, I just think he just wasn't good last year. They signaled their intent. I don't think he's much of a factor. I do think Toronto Dave in the chat saying he rode Raheem Mostert to the shit. He misses Jared Doak's season. Don't we all miss Jared Doak's season? My take on the backfield is that one thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to look at okay, if they pay off, in what way do they pay off? And Chase Edmonds, to me, has sort of the best skill set of all worlds. He's clearly the preferred option in the passing game. So I think that gives him at least a floor where he's the long down and distance passing game option. And then that also, of course, helps the ceiling because he can have that tied in. And then it's like, what if he just is the lead rusher? I don't think that that's out of the question. I still think it's like very plausible that he's getting 50% or more of the carries. He was a really efficient runner last year. We know what his strengths are. His strengths are yards before contact, in space, explosive plays. That's what this offense requires. This isn't like a grinding offense. Like I think Chase Edmonds really fits this offense well in a way that he didn't necessarily next to James Conner. And I think that his price has like come down considerably from where it was last year. And he was a fine play until he got hurt last year. He was leading that team in snaps next to Conner. He was getting about half the carries. He was getting all the pass work. And I don't see a reason why he couldn't have that similar role in Miami, which I think will be a really friendly scheme for him. I think with Michel, it's like my preferred pivot because I think if it's all a split, it's like who's getting what? Edmonds getting the pass work, Michel's getting the goal line work to me. So to me, those are the guys who have sort of the built-in roles if it's a three-way split. Mostert, never really been used as a third down back, never really been used as a goal line back, smaller, he's older. To me, he's sort of a between the 20s guy. So he needs one of those other guys to get hurt or to phase out to have a role. And then I look at like if, the crowd clears, if other people get hurt, it's like, okay, who do I think could just play all the snaps? It's like I think Edmonds could because he has the ability in both phases. I think Michel could because he has that sort of size and frame. And I think Mostert, he just can't. I don't think his body can hold up. I don't think that he has the ability. I think other guys find ways to get involved still, even if the others are hurt. So I just think Mostert has the lowest payoff, and I think he has the lowest probability to hit as well, just based off how old he is and the injury that he's coming back from. So I struggle with Mostert. I get that he's going super late, so it's not like it's an egregious take to have a bunch of Mostert. I just think he'll be a guy sprinkle in at most. I want to be overweight on Edmonds, and I want Sony Michel to be like one of my most drafted players. I just want to have like Sony Michel constantly. I want to have like 20% Sony Michel.
What I'm looking at here with this, not even so that I'm like anti-Edmonds. When I look at the board, I'm not drafting a ton of running backs in this range. Yeah, just because you have Kadarius Toney, like you have Kadarius Toney right next to him. You have Chase Claypool right next to him.
Yeah, Toney and Claypool.
You have Jameson Williams like pretty much right next to him, which I actually don't mind at all at that price.
Okay.
But yeah, he's interesting. You also have like just ahead of him Kareem Hunt, who I like quite a bit more than an Edmonds. But yeah, I'm not super anti-Edmonds, but he has been an actually me this, but you are definitely sort of opening my eyes a little bit.
I mean, the two guys that we took in these drafts, right? Like so Melvin Gordon and Rashad Penny, I would never take those guys over Chase Edmonds if I was doing my own drafts. Like I just think Edmonds to me is as good or better than those guys. I think he has an opportunity to lead those backfields without an injury. You seem a lot more into Penny, and I'm actually drafting a lot of Kenneth Walker, not drafting a lot of Penny.
I'm taking a little bit of both.
Yeah, I mean, I should probably open myself up a bit more to both. I guess I just think like they drafted Walker, which tells me that he's going to have a role. So I look at it as like there's two options. It's like either it's a split or it's Walker. I just feel like there's no world where it's just Penny unless Walker gets hurt. And then I think about that offense. And then I think about that offense, and I'm like, man, that offense is going to be ass.
Yeah.
So it's like, do I want to draft a guy who's a split back who doesn't catch passes in a bad offense? Like Penny struggle. Like I would certainly rather take Gordon, I think, than Penny in most cases. But
really,
because the offense will at least be good, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. We will continue talking. For those of us who joined us on this stream, thank you very much. We're going to take probably a pretty short break, and then yeah, and then we're going to be back. How many minutes did you say?
I would say like 15, 20, something in that range. Yeah. We'll fire something up.
So it's currently 5:06 Eastern time. We will be back probably between 5:20 and 5:30 Eastern time on Ron Stewart's channel. And thank you very much for joining us. This was a blast. For those of you that are helping comment, so shout out Dave, Brock. I see other folks that are watching live on the stream. Thank you very much. 2 fun teams that we drafted. And then we will get into much more strategy talk. We'll draft another team or two over on Ron's channel. I'll see you soon on the other side.
All right. I'll see you guys. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, and just before we end, where can people find you, Ron? And what are you working on?
Oh, they can find me at @RonStewart_ on Twitter. You can find me Ron Stewart. You just type that into YouTube and you'll find me there. Making videos, sort of screaming at the top of my lungs about guys like Derrick Henry as to why you shouldn't be drafting them and kind of,
But we did. We just did. We just drafted Derrick Henry. You love Derrick Henry. Establish it.
With the tricks, the Derrick Henry truthers can kind of catch me in 4K if they find this footage. But yeah, man, just Ron Stewart on YouTube, at Ron Stewart on Twitter, making plenty of good content in those radio waves.
Love it, love it, love it. And then you can find me, of course, on Twitter at FF_RTDB. You can find me pretty much posting about best ball pretty constantly, especially during this puppy era. We are in best ball SZN. You can find me in the Bulletproof Discord, where I'm going to be talking about best ball pretty constantly. I have like a full puppy one thread, posting all my teams, giving feedback on your teams, etc. And then I'll be working on a series for Player Profiler, where I'm going to be working on two different things that'll come out in the next month or two. Over a period, I'm going to be working on a polarizers series where I'm going to dig into guys like Gabe Davis, Amon-Ra St. Brown, people have very, very strong takes on, give the case for and against. And then I'm going to start working on my 0 RB tier list over the course of the summer, in terms of which guys I like, which archetypes these guys fall into, and how often I'm going to be drafting some of these guys. So I'm sure we'll get into more of that on Ron's channel. Check back in 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you very much for watching here on the Full Tilt Dynasty / True North Fantasy Football channel with cash considerations. Have a good one, everybody, and hopefully we'll see you in just about 20 minutes.